Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converses the channel, thanks for stopping by again. And we're going to continue today with the Fundamentals of Buddhism kind of series. We're getting more and more, very, very close now to where I can just kind of go at different texts and traditions and show texts and expound on them and things like that. And when I touch on certain ideas, then I can just kind of put a link to a video that an idea that might be, a conversation of itself or something like that. So today we're gonna get to what is Nirvana, and I'll give an explanation of my understanding of that from a Western perspective, and we're gonna go through an exploration of the realms of existence, the different levels that beings exist on in Buddhist cosmology. So it will be, it'll be surprising to most to hear that Buddhist cosmology has 31 different levels, 31 different planes on which beings live. We're going to go from the lowest, the most deluded and ignorant and separated from, spiritual nature, which is a hell realm, of course, is hell. And we'll move up to ever more refined states and explore what those are, because it is very interesting to think about these kind of things, and and we'll get there. Sorry about that. First off, I got a little cheat sheet here so that I don't miss any. And the first level, the lowest level that you can go is complete separation, complete suffering. There is no happiness, only suffering in this realm. It's the worst place to be born, and it is hell. It is a hell realm. There's actually 4 levels to hell. Think of, Dante's Inferno or something, where there's those that are separated from God and in hell, but they're not necessarily being punished constantly because they lived virtuous lives or something like that. So, but then there's these levels where it's constant torment and horrifying punishments and torment all the time. And then there's levels that, the person is encased in ice and can't even move, is constantly in just an unbelievable amount of pain, that being, and stuff like that. There is a lot of different traditions of Buddhism, so there's a lot of different descriptions of hell realms, just like what we have in our Western culture. And, that kind of thing like that is always the most, kind of exciting, and, the imagination runs wild with that kind of exploration. Everybody knows Dante's Inferno and has read at least excerpts from it. Most people here on BookTube have probably read the entire Inferno, but how many have read Purgatory? And then again, how many have read Paradise? It's just the way human beings are, and our mind works. The next level up from a hell realm is the animal realm, is the animal world. It's not pleasant, and it is the kind of dog eat dog world. It is the level of being that we see all of our animals living on, fighting for their lives, and constant fear, and hunting and killing and eating raw, eating alive other animals. It's a horrifying existence, for sure. So that kind of thing is right above, the hell right there. The next step up is the world of spirits and hungry ghosts. This is a world called hungry ghosts, and it's called a state of woe. This is a realm that when people do good deeds, they help these kind of beings, and when they and these kind of beings are described as always hungry and can't ever be full, can't ever fill up. They're always in want. They're always in want and in need of sustenance and and to be. They're very they're ghost like. They are that kind of thing. Just a not a very not a wealth, not a complete being. Um, I kind of see these beings as like maybe the plants, all the plants. These are things that never stop growing and never fill up. Like the trees, for example, or something like that. What would it be like to be that kind of being? So that's just right above the animals, a little less. You're not fighting and killing all the time. You're not engaged in negative lifestyle like that. But all right, the fourth level is the demon world. Now this is like the Titans. This is the demons in our Western thinking. This is the hot. They're powerful beings if we give them power. They feed off of other people's power, or that kind of thing. They are basically essentially demons, and they are against the devas. Devas are gods. The name for God, or gods, small g, in Hindu, and therefore in Buddhism as well, because it grew out of that cosmology, is Deva. So these demons, the world of demons, is over and against the gods, and they are warlike. They're very warlike, and we have a lot of experience with that kind of thing too. These four lower levels are all undesirable states. They come about by ignorance and willfully choosing vices. The seven deadly sins is a wonderfully succinct formulation of that. The next level up is the human world. So we know all about the human world. In Buddhist cosmology, the human world is actually the most preferable of all states. That's not to say that it's pleasant at all. This world that we're in is called the Saha world, and that means the world of endurance, the world in which there is much to be endured. And I think that everybody can agree with that. That's the name of our world in Buddhist cosmology. And even though it is a very tough kind of life to live, it's definitely better than being an animal or a hungry ghost, or especially being in a hell, right? And we have opportunity here. This is why humans level is very much preferable, is that we have opportunities that aren't available in any other level. We can learn, we can hear spiritual teachings, we can engage in spiritual practice. There's just the right amount of suffering and unsatisfactoriness to life that we do want something better, and we search for something to grow and to be a guiding light for our life, and we try to strive to become better and to refine ourselves. We want to do that kind of thing because of the unsatisfactory nature of our existence. And there is enough pleasure and goodness, that we can see that there is there is better out there. We can see, the light, the silver lining around the cloud and things like that. We can see that there is a possibility in on our level, and we also have the impetus to grow. So it's very much preferable. Now, above humans is gods. They might be seen as, some kind of angels, and the hierarchy in the Western way of thinking, the hierarchy of divine beings. Do these beings have full willpower of their own? No. It's very much like how we would describe our angelic hierarchies and things like that, because these beings are doing the will of the universe. That's why they have been able to get higher and higher in their being, and able to be on a higher level, is because they're working with powers that are just part of the all, part of the universe, and they facilitate that, and they are benevolent, and they are wanting everyone to grow and be better. They still have a delusion, and they still have ignorance, and at some points they understand, they come to realize an unsatisfactory nature of being, but most of the time, until the very end of their very long lives, they don't have any concept of suffering or unsatisfactory nature of being. They're completely happy. But all of these realms here are impermanent as well. Going up from humans, there's the heaven of the four great kings, the realm of the 33 gods, the realm of blissful existence, the realm of gods of happiness and contentment, the realm of gods who delight in creating, and then the realm of gods who enjoy sensory pleasures created by others for them. So as you go up their cosmology of different levels of existence through gods, these gods become more and more powerful, and they have more and more pleasure just at their feet, because they're more and more refined as far as being in alignment with what the will of the all, the will of the actual universe. In Buddhist cosmology, and these things work well to explore and use in reference to your own mind states. So the next four realms actually correspond to four levels that we can reach in meditation, as far as refined concentration and purity of mind. And in the different levels of meditation are called jhanas. And so these levels on which these next heavenly beings that I'm talking about live and move and have their being in these in these levels of jhana. Now, the next one is Brahma himself. This is the first jhana, but this is where Brahma, the creator god in Hindu cosmology, resides. And this Brahma, created the world. He's so high up that he actually, has millions and millions and millions, billions perhaps, of years long life, that he creates the world and stuff. Now, does it happen without him? This isn't a him. This isn't a being in and of itself. This is like a level of being, a level of being as a verb. So this is where Brahma resides, the Brahma's ministers, and the Brahma's retinue. And all these types of beings have their own kind of mental refinement and correspondence. And I'm not here to kind of explore all that, because it's a course in and of itself. How these kind of things are broke down is in the Abhidharma literature from the Pali Canon, and all this is Pali Canon, first iteration of Buddhism stuff. The next three are the realm of gods with limited glory, the realm of God with unbounded radiance, and then the realm of gods with streaming radiance. These types of gods are just glorious, magnificent, and huge, and still in the cycle, in the realm of the conditioned, and have no idea that they're going to, that it is a temporary existence until very close to the time when their existence is going to be over. The next three the next is 7 planes, and this is very high states of mind, or states of meditation, where you can sit in, and it's kind of like this. These gods, they're not real, physical, real beings, of course, So what are they? When it comes down to it, these are the kind of levels that beings can get to, human beings as well, in meditation and in spiritual refinement, and they believe that they have reached the goal. This is, they plant their flag, they've realized all that there is to realize, and they stay there. And if a human being could get to this ultra high state of mind of like a Brahma, or a god of radiant glory, just sitting there in meditation and basking in radiant glory, of course you would, you've already destroyed all kinds of negative mind states, and gained spiritual illumination in a lot of ways, and can very easily fall into an idea that you've reached the goal, that you have understood all that there is to understand, and this is the way that reality, that's the ground of reality, and that's what it is. These beings have done that, are raised through to that level through countless lifetimes of refinement and stuff, but they're still ignorant, and so they actually go to a very high level of existence, and then stay there for an unbelievably long time, and then they use up all that karma, all that good karma, and then they will come back. They will fall. They will fall. And in Buddhist ideas and Buddhist cosmology, we have done that over and over. Everybody has, done this kind of thing, gone through all these different kinds of things. We'll touch on that a little more in a minute. These 7 planes are the fruitful gods, the mindless gods, the realm of durable gods, serene gods, the realm of beautiful gods, the realm of clear-sighted gods, and the realm of peerless gods. And it's just each one is more and more pure of mind, more and more just clear, and receiving more and more of the divine will, and the higher will of the all, the universe, and able to have their being there. So we have 4 more realms, and these are ultra refined states, and these are the 4 kind of states where there is just all kinds of teachings. And in Hindu, in Buddhism, in any meditation based culture has had these masters, someone who that is totally a master, claimed, to have reached the goal, and is giving teachings out and show someone how to, kind of get to that place. And these 4 states are infinite space, infinite consciousness, the realm of nothingness, and the realm of neither perception or non-perception. So we have a realm of space, infinite space. If you can, enter into and become one with infinity in a physical way, in the infinity of space, then that is a very high, a very expanded mind indeed. And these are not gods. These are actual states of, kind of like states of mind, but in which beings can exist. And infinite space, in Buddhism, space is not empty at all. Space is populated by pure consciousness itself. And that pure consciousness is exactly what we're talking about here. The consciousness that is populating that space is just the consciousness of that space. That's what it is. And it's not an intellectual knowing that space is there, like a like a scientist would be able to sit there and we 13.5 trillion light years, blah 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 blah. They can't wrap their head around that kind of thing. I'm talking about actually seeing that as you, and you being that, and there not being any distinction between the two in a very real and tangible way. That's the kind of beingness that that level is. And you can see that kind of thing is higher than the gods. And then the realm of infinite consciousness itself. That is consciousness without identifying with space, for example. Just consciousness itself, and realizing the infinitude of consciousness and pure consciousness. Higher than that is the realm of nothingness. That is an actual realm of negation, a realm of empty nothingness. That is different than the kind of emptiness. When I say emptiness in Buddhism, I mean the infinite potential that is in all space. Well, in this I'm saying nothingness, and those two are very different. This way is actually a state of nothing. Can you, in every single bit of your consciousness, have nothing, totally empty of anything? And so that is the level of that is. And then the other one is realm of neither perception or non-perception. That is a non-dual state. That would be a state that is, right on the edge of breaking free of this realm altogether, of this existence altogether. So we talk and we've touched on different aspects of Buddhism. And in Buddhism, the whole goal of the Buddha was to break free from existence, the round and the cycle, the round of suffering that everybody has endured, that everybody continues to endure, that he's endured since beginningless time, It never has an end. He thought there is an ending. There is a way. And he went to find that way. So all the different states that I've talked about there are what to break free from. And as you can see, the highest levels of their cosmology there are these states that are very, very close to what would be breaking free of our existence. Non-dual thinking, nothingness of itself, in itself, nothing, could you'd be very close, right? That kind of thing. But it's close but no cigar. You know what I mean? You can't get there, because when you're there, you can't get there and then take another step. Because when you're in that spot, that is all that there is. That is it, And so without a teacher, without being in a place where you can grow, then you can never get higher or get beyond that kind of state, if you could ever touch it anyways. And so that's why human level is preferable to every other level, even these very refined consciousness only levels. Human level of being is much, much, much more preferable, because we have the ability to grow, we want to grow, all that. So when the Buddha did, have his enlightenment experience, and he saw how to break free, though how to break free is to stop the cycle of dependent origination. And I'll link that video, a video I did on dependent origination. You break that cycle at the point of craving. That is when you come into contact with something, a feeling arises of pleasant, non-pleasant, or indifferent. And if it's pleasant, you want it, right? Or you kind of move towards it, at least. If it's non-pleasant, you wish for it not to be there, and you identify with that wish, that want for it not to be. And so at that point, that's where you have the choice. That's where the first step, the first part of the chain there, where your choice can be exercised. So at the point of craving, you break that chain, and you let everything else be as it is. You let that cycle keep on going, and it's a karma cycle. And you just stay in the main practice is meditation, and then in any kind of activity, you're breaking the chain at the point of craving, not identifying with desires and wants and things like that. It doesn't mean you don't want anything. You acknowledge it and you let it go. You live a humble life, a meek life, and you live, devoted to your spiritual growth. That's what it's about. And then as you grow in that process, you get more and more closer to breaking free. And what that is called is nirvana. So what does nirvana actually mean? Nirvana is a state where there is no identification identifying yourself with your desire. You can see your desire for what it is. You can see it for, the activity it, kind of brings up in you or has brought up in you, or the states of mind, or the emotions and all these kind of things that come up. But you don't identify yourself with that. That doesn't define you. What you are is an infinite being, a being that can do anything and make any kind of choice. And you just become more and more free to make those choices, instead of being in that cycle of craving and going around and around the dependent origination cycle. So once that thing is completely overcome in Buddhism, that is called nirvana, and it is a state of non-function. Because when you don't have karma, karma is action, and karma, we're karma rolling on top of karma, rolling on top of karma. That's what beings are, and to a Buddhist. And when it comes down to it, to stop that kind of thing, nirvana is best described as peace, because you have a level of peace that is beyond any kind of idea of peace that people even have in their daily life. It is a peace that has no kind of, it is going beyond the conditioned to a state of peace and tranquility and acceptance of oneself and the reality and all that, to a place of, to an unconditional degree. It is unconditioned, nirvana is. And it is something that that is expounded as the goal in Hinayana Buddhism, the first level of Buddhist teachings as given by the Buddha himself. And so when it comes down to it, like I said, nirvana is a state of non-function. It is a state of not doing anything. It is a meditative kind of place. And people who, beings who gain the state of nirvana are called arhants. And an arhat is just a being who is a non-returner. That is somebody who is not going to return to the cycle of existence the ways in the planes that I've just talked about. They've entered into another level of being that is unconditioned. And all of the levels that we just talked about and explored a bit are conditioned being. So once they enter into the unconditioned, they are called a non-returner, and they still have, being in a place where, you're just at peace and you're not doing anything and non-functioning, and so you don't go after anything and you don't want anything and you don't do anything like that. Now that is not, the highest spiritual illumination, right? It's just not, it's not Buddha. The Buddha's not that. The Buddha is functioning and very active. The Buddha is. So if he's the goal, if he's the goal in Buddhism, and his activity and his words can show you that, then nirvana is not the highest goal, but nirvana is a first step, a very essential step in Buddhism. So I hope that this helped out and made sense. Any questions or comments, and I'll definitely go over it more. Nirvana can be expounded on a lot, but I think it just serves to say what I have said about it, and always keeping in mind that in Buddhism, meditation is the primary practice. So actually being able to sit in a very peaceful spot is kind of the goal, but there's always something that comes up with mind and with emotions and things like that. So there's almost almost a limitless amount of work to do, inner work. So that's what all the Buddhist practice is about, really, is doing the inner work. And so I hope you enjoyed this booktube. My pleasure, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.